Welcome to the next generation of warfare, psychological warfare. In modern conflict, the mind is a potent weapon. Discover General Michael T. Flynn's groundbreaking guide, The Citizen's Guide to Fifth Generation Warfare. Unlock tactics, strategies, and the mindset to navigate this cognitive battlefield that we all find ourselves in. Equip yourself against manipulation and emerge unscathed. Unleash your potential. Order now.
Science proves that a healthy immune system is the body's first defense against the smallest of ailments to the most catastrophic. Coriolus versicolor is the most sought-after, all-natural supplement for both humans and pets to help boost the immune system. There are over 400 studies worldwide on its effectiveness in humans, including Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, MD Anderson Cancer Center, and now from the University of Pennsylvania School of Veterinary Medicine. Together, we can help reverse this terrible tide now plaguing your loved ones and give them the immune-boosting supplements that they need.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.
All right, you guys, so just remember, those are the people that keep this show alive. They help me keep the lights on. So down in the description below, you'll see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen through the show. All the links to my partners, sponsors, and affiliates, a bunch of great people. And with that, one of the commercials that you just saw, I have them here with me today because it's about time we do an update. I was telling them behind the scenes, you know, I've been showing the replays because they're important, but my face is much more rounder than, and it's starting to get embarrassing. So we got to do an update because... yeah, vanity. That's why. So with that, Kurt, Kristen, how you guys doing? Thank you for coming back.
We're doing great. You look great.
Thank you. And it's definitely a testament to all of these guys that I've been taking. Now, I was kind of explaining to you, the audience has grown significantly since the last time that we had you guys on there. So I kind of want to let's go back to the beginning and let's just start off with, how did you guys even get to where you're at? And then with that, over the time, we've accumulated some, questions from the audience regarding this stuff, and we'll wrap up the show with doing that. But with that, Kurt, Christian, whichever one of you wants to, please let us know.
Sure. I'll be happy to. I'll do it real quickly. We're not new to the mushroom game and getting mushrooms out. This has been ongoing for well over 20 years, and how it all evolved to where it is today is that one of our partners in the company, one of the founders here, his mother was dealing with a very severe issue in her lung, and she was attending Sloan Kettering out in New York, and they did everything medically they could for her. Nothing worked out. It metastasized, and unfortunately, they gave her just a couple of months to live. So he was doing like any son would do, reaching to friends and family, explaining those circumstances, and his cousin in Japan, involved in the medical arena, said, look, I want to send something to you. It's just a capsule. It's a mushroom in a capsule. He said, we've created a proprietary way that we extract it for greater efficacy. And, what it does is it modulates the immune system. If we can get our immune system working properly again, maybe this will do something for her. And so he sent it out. She starts taking it. And after around 30 days, she notices a considerable difference in the way she's feeling. About another 30 days go by, even more improvement. And after about 3 months, she's feeling as if, that issue is no longer there. And she goes back to Sloan Kettering 4.5 months after that last diagnosis they gave her. They run the labs and they find that issue is indeed no longer there. Now, they were just flabbergasted over it. They wanted to know what she was doing. She explained to them, and she was able to get it sent from her nephew to them. And that's where the first clinical study started here in the United States. And today there's hundreds of studies on this particular strain. And there's no other strain out there like it. No one's been able to synthesize it, duplicate it. It's been ongoing. Now, what Simon would do is he would, anyone that would listen to him, as you can imagine, something like that happened to your mother, you would tell everyone that would listen. And he was doing that. And people were reporting to him the most amazing things. And it wasn't just people dealing with some type of sickness or issue. It was people that were, healthy, that wanted to remain healthy. And they were coming back and saying, I feel like I'm 15 years younger. I feel like I'm, I can't believe how much I'm sleeping better. Just all these great things that they were noticing, just their energy levels. And finally, he said, look, to his cousin, and after several years of this, how do we bring this into the United States? It's taking, 3 weeks on average for people to get it here. Let us distribute it and bring it into the U.S. And so they gained control of all the U.S. and North America and South America at that time, and started getting it out. And again, just amazing things, stories, testimonials continued in. And 8 years ago now, is when they also started creating a product for animals because of the great things that they were seeing with animals. So people that have animals, the same types of results were happening. So they created products. So the reason why it's called Pet Club when people go to buy and the human product is on the pet site is initially they were going to be a pet-centric company. Two of our partners had lost a dog due to cancer, and one of our partners, his children, 2 of them lost a dog due to cancer, all within 2 months of each other, all within the ages of 4 and 8. And they were sitting back and they'd heard so many other stories of so many other people saying the same thing, because 65% of our pets today, Alpha, are getting cancer. It's just like what's happening with the humans. It's the same type of thing. And so they knew they had something. They created it, with this mushroom, started getting it out. And the testimonials started pouring in from people giving it to their animals. Again, people that wanted to keep their animals healthy, didn't want them to have to be at the vet or have a shortened life, because our pets live half as long as they used to. And so by doing that, all these people would see the difference in their animal, and they would say, I'm just feeding them something different. They don't know what a placebo effect is. They're getting better. They have energy. They're acting like they're 5 and 6 years younger again. And that's when people started flooding the phone lines of us and the company and saying, how do we get this for people? And sure enough, we were able to show that. At that point, we're like, look, we have to put the human product on the pet website and start selling the human product. And it has gone absolutely crazy. And they knew it would, because what they experienced before the pet site started. So people always say to us, they're like, initially, is this a human product? And we're like, actually, tested on humans before it was given to animals, right? And so, it's been absolutely incredible. Every single person should have this, every single pet. It doesn't interact with medications. You can't overdose. You can't get addicted to it. All it is a mushroom. It's like eating a mushroom on a pizza. We just happen to have, we're just very fortunate that we get the messengers to get this out to the people.
Absolutely. And I tell people all the time, so, I have a very large spectrum of friends. Within that spectrum, I have some very financially well off, and some, like me, it's just like, man, I need it. Let's spin the wheel, see which bill we're going to pay today, but even in one of those friends that's very well off, he is very, very stingy. And for over, 2 decades now, it's always been a running joke. So he got these mushrooms, and first of all, they're very affordable at $38 if you go with the standard green bottle. And he tells me after a few weeks, hey, this stuff's really good. I go, I told you, bro. He's like, yeah, it's awesome. And so about 3.5 months, 4 months later, he reaches out and he's just like, he goes, hey, I went back to the Pet Club stuff. I go, I didn't even know you stopped. He goes, I found some on Amazon for like $13. He goes, so I started taking those. And he goes, immediately, I noticed they weren't working. And so, but he's also a fairly smart guy. So he wanted to do a self-test. He's he's a law enforcement buddy. And so a lot of us are very skeptical of things, given, our life is very tainted, right? With the stuff. Everybody lies to us. So we get very tainted that way.
I imagine.
So he actually went on Amazon and bought 3 other ones that were significantly more expensive, and tried all these stuff. One, it was very funny because of, I'll just say TMI with it. But ultimately what he came back to is he goes, hey, ask him what's the difference. He goes, obviously I get it. He goes, I tried to save $1. That didn't work out for me. He goes, but I even went and bought ones that were more expensive, and it was nothing. Like, I didn't even notice a difference there outside of one, which again was TMI. So he goes, ask them what separates them from the other products. And so I wanted to start off with that question.
That's a really good question. And when it comes to mushrooms, there, specifically the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, there are over 200 known strains or variants of it. And so the strain does matter, what strain you're using, the potency of that strain, the purity of that strain. On our mushroom biomass, when we produce it, we test it 3 times. There are 3 certificates of analysis on every phase of the production process. From right when we harvest it, we test it for purity. Once we extract it, we test it for purity. And then the finished product, once it's all done and ready to go out, we test it for purity and the consistency of the integrity of the product. And so that's something that a lot of manufacturers don't take the time or spend the money to do, but it's very important that they do it, because then it makes the product less efficable. It doesn't work. There are impurities in it. They could cause adverse reactions. It's not as potent. And then on top of the purity and the potency of the strain, also the way you extract it is significant. We have perfected the extraction process. Like Kurt said, we're not new to this. This is not something where, people are learning the benefits of mushrooms, let's start offering mushrooms. This is something that we've been doing for decades. So we were ahead of the game, and we have perfected the extraction process at the mycelial phase while it's still a little baby. So it has more of the PSP and the PSK, which are the polysaccharides that really help act as the catalyst for the immune system. And so I'm not surprised that happened to your friend. We run into people all the time that are like, I've been taking, this mushroom for years, or giving it to my pets, and it helped a little bit, but then I took yours and it was like a night and day difference. We're like, the purity matters, potency matters, and the extraction process matters. And God has blessed us to have not only a great strain, but he's shown us the proper way to extract it. And that's why this product's blessed, and it's doing so many amazing things for dogs, cats, horses, and even people.
And and I don't know if it's now that I've been introduced to the world of mushrooms, but now it's like, I feel like I see it everywhere. I go to buy my coffee, or not, I'm sorry, not buy my coffee, but I go to like Sprouts to get my food. And when I see the coffee that they have there, you have coffee that has mushrooms. I'll go to a different section of the food store that's something that has mushrooms. So I'm like, is everybody finally kind of just learning about this, or am I just seeing it because my world's been exposed to it? But nonetheless, I wanted people to understand that there is something that separates you guys from the rest, and and getting, extracting it at its highest potency is important versus somebody who's going to wait for the mushroom to get its biggest. Because more product if the mushroom's bigger, but now it's not as potent. And I want people to understand that's a difference. The other one, and I've asked you this before, but I want to make sure this show covers it. Alpha, can I give this to my kids?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so these are just edible mushrooms. These are whole foods. They're, like Kurt said, it's no different from eating a mushroom on a salad. It just so happens that it's a food that feeds the immune system and allows the immune system to repair, rebuild, regulate, rebalance, restore everything that's happening inside of the body. And so we have actually created some products that are more fun for our children to enjoy, because it can be challenging for them to try to take a capsule or a tablet. So we have some 100% natural gummies. And the reason I stress that they're 100% natural is because almost all of the gummies that you find on the market have dyes in them. They have corn syrup and just all types of ingredients that are synthetic and unnatural. And they're disguised as vitamins. they're disguised as good supplements, but then they have horrible ingredients. So ours are 100% natural, but we also have little snack packs of chocolate chip cookies. So they're these little mini chocolate chip cookies that they can enjoy as well, that have the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. And then if your kid maybe is more particular, we do have the Inforce. You were saying the green bottle. So we do have these Inforce capsules that you can pop those open. So if they like applesauce, you can mix the powder in with applesauce and they can't even tell that it's in there. We have people that put it into smoothies for their kids and those types of things. But it's funny because one of our dear friends, she was taking the Coriolis versicolor, the Inforce, while she was pregnant and just had a great pregnancy. And then she was also taking it while she was nursing. And I don't know if you remember a few years ago when that respiratory virus went through like all of the children in the United States got that respiratory virus at the same time. Well, at their church, her son was the only one in the entire nursery that didn't get that respiratory virus. And she had been taking it while she was pregnant. She took it while she was nursing. And so she was passing on that immunity, the support for the immune system. She was passing that on to her son. And it was crazy the way that all happened, which she told us. It was like, oh, praise God. It's incredible what the immune system's capable of doing when it just has that support that it deserves.
I want to stay with the conversation, the immune system, because I want people to understand that. And I have another buddy, and I know he'll be watching this one. He loves this show. He loves this product. He's probably the person I talk to the most. He won't mind if I say his name. Shout out Tobin. He's a good solid dude. And he told me, he goes, hey, this isn't medicine. No. It is food. We've had this conversation before, and he noticed that, if he doesn't have it set up for automatic shipment, and he's just like, oh, I gotta order it and I gotta wait a few days for it to get here, he'll have that window gap where he doesn't take it. And he goes, man, I notice when I don't have it in me. And I want people to understand that this isn't a medication. This is food. It's food that's either in the crush format or like the regular Coriolis, just in the green bottle. It's the capsule one. Explain this to people that this isn't medication. This is something that it's food. It's mushroom food for your body. If you can, I know you touched on it. I just want people to grasp that concept of why this is, just think of it as food that you're going to have every day for the rest of your life.
Well, and the difference. If you eat a food that's bad for you, how do you feel that day? You feel bad. If you eat a food that's good for you, how do you feel that day? You feel good. So when you're eating the food that are not only supporting the immune system, but balancing the microbiome and, giving you more energy and giving you more clarity and all of those types of things, your body is going to start wanting that because it knows that it's good for them. This is not a cure. It's not a treatment. It's not a medicine. What do we hear? If nature doesn't make it, don't take it. Like if it's not something that can be found in nature, then our bodies probably don't know how to metabolize it, right? It doesn't know what to do with all of these synthetic and artificial ingredients that we're just putting into it over and over and over again. So that's partially why it's so powerful. When we're eating the proper foods, our bodies know how to metabolize it, and it can utilize all of the bioactive components and all of the compounds that are beneficial for us in them. Our body can actually utilize them, and that's why we feel that difference. And I've totally lost my train of thought.
Well, I'll bring it back for you here, because with some of the people in my audience and that have sent me success stories. And I will send them to the website so they could put their testimonials on there for you, because some of them are life-changing, where they had,
Yes.
You're not going to be with us very much longer. And that is absolutely reversing. But one of the things, for people that are dealing with, some type of ailment or comorbidity, yes, you're, from what this is Alpha's, this is me talking off of my experience from what my audience has shared with me. Yes, you're going to see a massive increase in health with things you're fighting. Mm-hmm. But for everybody else, I want them to understand this is not one of the things like if you're dealing with diabetes, you take it, your diabetes is gone. Okay, I'm good. I don't have to take it no more. Mm-hmm. This is something that is going to be food for the rest of your life. Like you have to enter it into that understanding. It's like, if you realize, I'm going to be, carnivore, I'm going to do the carnivore diet, and you do it for a period of time, you see a change in your body. Well, then when you move off that diet and you go back to fast food and stuff like that, what do you realize? Oh, it doesn't work. No, once you find something healthy, you have to stick to something healthy. And I actually love the idea. And I don't know if it was you guys or who, but somebody told me, oh, I just consider this my food. It might have even been Chris. And I when I started realizing this is part of my breakfast.
Yes.
That then I was like, oh, this is not even a supplement anymore. This is part of my breakfast. This is my food. And I want people to understand that. Now, you were talking about, how it helps the immune system. One question I had, and I was like, you know what? This is one I got to ask them because I'm not sure. Maybe this one doesn't have the answer we're hoping for. Two questions from several people that are dealing with this. MS and autoimmune issues, where it's, and you guys correct me if I get this wrong. As I understand it, this is the immune system attacking itself, its body. And so their concern was, well, if I take this and it helps my immune system, I don't want my immune system to be strong. And I was like, I don't know, maybe they have some people that I've talked to them with MS. So I wanted to ask you, people that are dealing with MS or have, autoimmune issues, what have you heard or what do you know about that?
Well, I'll add to that, then Kristen can take off from there. But, when that first study came out by Sloan Kettering, it evolved to MD Anderson, Harvard, Loma Linda, and there are hundreds of studies on this product. And what they found is it doesn't cure, mitigate, or prevent, but what it does specifically is modulates the immune system.
Yeah, it's not a boost.
It's not a boost.
Or a stimulant.
So people that are dealing with any type of autoimmune issue, it's been doing wonderful things for them. And Kristen had a major autoimmune issue, and she can share that if you'd like, and her experience with it. And so it's been very, very helpful for people dealing with autoimmune.
And what
I definitely want to hear your story, Kristen. I just want to say, you guys, if anything, that alone made this entire show worth it, because one of those people is an audience member that's been watching my show from the beginning, before I even started the show, when I was just speaking in spaces. And she's an amazing human being. And she's already had so much loss of loved ones in her life. So to know that I can come to her with that information is going to be great. The other one's a family member who I care about dearly, And so to know that they're going to get to see this part, that alone, I just want to let you guys know, has made the whole show worth it for me. But Kristen, please share your story with us.
Yeah, and it's really personal for me to talk about this, because this is a big problem. More and more people are getting this autoimmune marker and dealing with these. And you're right. They're thinking that it stems from a confused immune system, where the immune system gets confused and it starts attacking even the healthy processes of the body. And that's why you can't take a stimulant or a booster when you are dealing with those issues, because sometimes it can exacerbate the problem, which is why the immunomodulatory properties of this mushroom are so fascinating, because it doesn't boost it, it doesn't stimulate it, it modulates it. And there are hundreds of studies that have been done on the autoimmune response and the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, how it impacts the autoimmune response. So I myself was getting more and more sick over several years. I developed a gluten intolerance, a dairy intolerance. I had no energy. I would just shake. I couldn't even write with a pen because you couldn't read my handwriting. I had no willpower, feeling very depressed, and lost my appetite, losing tons of weight. I was down to 104 pounds and I'm 5'9". So I pretty much looked emaciated. And it got to the point where I started having these small seizures and I'd pass out. And at that point, I'm kind of stubborn. So up until then, I was like, I'll figure it out, whatever. Well, once I started having the seizures, I thought, okay, this is out of my control now. I can't control that. And so I went to the doctor and they did my blood. And of course, I had the autoimmune marker present. And my antithyroid globulin levels, which are supposed to be less than 1, were 522. So I was off the charts and I had a lot of inflammation in my body. And they said, well, we need to start you on this series of testing to figure out which autoimmune condition you have so we can learn how to manage it. That was their idea, was to be able to manage it. And I said, okay. So once I found out about, this mushroom, I started taking this right away. I took 6 capsules a day, 3 in the morning right when I woke up and 3 at night right before I went to bed. Because I thought, if this is something I'm going to have to learn to manage and I'm going to have for the rest of my life, I'm just going to feel bad. So I want to feel the best bad that I can, just if that makes any sense. Not thinking that it would do what it ended up doing. Well, as the months went on, weeks went on, little by little, I started noticing my appetite was coming back. I started eating because I wanted to and not because I knew I had to stay alive. I started having more energy. I was taking less naps. I never again had another seizure, or I never once passed out again after like the first time I started taking these. I never had another seizure. And then I felt my mood feeling elevated. I was feeling happier and less depressed. And then my willpower started coming back, where I wanted to get out of bed and I wanted to do things. And 5.5 months later, I had gone through the gastroenterology portion and I was starting the endocrinology portion. At that point, I felt great. So I like skip into the endocrinologist office. He's like looking at me like, you don't look like you have an autoimmune condition. It's like, I feel great. And he said, let's take your blood and see where you are. And they drew my blood, sent it to the labs. Sure enough, autoimmune marker gone, completely gone. My antithyroid globulin levels were back below 1. My vitamin D deficiency that I've had my whole life, gone. My vitamin B deficiency I've had my whole life, gone. And I had done nothing different, no changes in my exercise, my diet, except for adding this mushroom and eating it like food every day, like you said. And so at that point, he's like, this doesn't even look like it's blood work from the same person. There's no reason for us to even continue the testing. Like whatever was happening in your body has been resolved. So you're free to go and, don't worry about it. And that was, goodness, years and years ago, over 6 years ago. And since then, I used to take an allergy pill every day. I've taken no allergy medications whatsoever. I used to take ibuprofen 3 to 5 times a week because we're athletes. And so I have a lot of stiffness and soreness, you know that. And I haven't taken even an Advil, nothing, in over 6 years. It's just been 100% natural. And so I'm very encouraged, and my experience only correlates with what the research has shown and what the studies have shown. And we've seen it over and over and over again. Now, because it's a food and everybody's body metabolizes it differently and everybody has a unique situation that they're in, we don't even know a lot of times what's happening in our body. RFK Jr. said that disease is brewing in the body long before the symptoms ever show themselves, right? Before we even know it. And so because we don't know everything that's happening in the body, it's going to happen at a different time frame for different people based off of what they're experiencing. So for me, it was 5.5 months of 6 a day. For someone else, it might be quicker. Some it might take longer. Some might need less. Some might need more. So what we always recommend is 1 capsule for every 50 pounds. If you're just looking for general well-being and you want to maintain your good, your good health. And then if you're dealing with something like I was, then you could double or triple it and until it resolves. And then you can just go back to the recommended amount. And then if you're dealing with something more catastrophic or serious, like what Chris was dealing with, we recommend sometimes even doing 4 to 5 times that amount. A lot of times people will take 10 capsules a day, 10 to 15 capsules a day when they have a very serious concern that they want to address. And then again, once their body's rebalanced, then they can just go back down to the normal amount. But we're so confident, like regardless of what your pet or you're experiencing, we've seen what God's doing through this mushroom. We've seen bodies recovering over 90% of the time. We're getting back these stories of these differences and these improvements and these results. And sometimes people have exhausted all their options and they're like, there's nothing more that I can do. They've told me that I just have to get my affairs in order and there's nothing more that I can do. And we've seen just we've heard amazing stories come back, even in those situations. So, we always encourage people, give it a try. There's no risk. You can get there's a 30-day money back guarantee. There's no risk. And we know what can happen for the body when it just gets that natural support.
And with that, sorry, I just wanted to add, it affects the immune system. It's not the mushroom that does these things. It's the immune system. It's getting the immune system working, right? The immune support. And the immune system is our first defense against anything that our body could be dealing with. That's what it was given to us for. And that's why, it's capable of doing some amazing things for people by just getting it working right.
No, absolutely. It's been we're approaching 15 months, 15 months that I've been with you guys. And I would just tell people, go back and watch the first interview that I did with Kurt and them, and just look at Alpha on the screen. You're going to be like, oh, yeah, he did have a much rounder face back then.
Let me
That-
ask you. Let me ask you this, Alpha. People, I'm healthy and I've been taking it and I'm blessed to be healthy. But I'll tell you, I always thought I felt good. And I only knew what I knew.
Right.
And then I started taking this and I really learned what it felt like to feel good.
Oh, this is what
To
it's
have
like.
some clarity to just, it's just amazing. I don't know if you noticed that as well, but it's.
I have. The other thing that I've also noticed is my recovery time with things that would have been injuries. For instance, I went and did a run. I don't know if I ever shared this with you guys, just because it's been quite some time, but I went and I was feeling really healthy, like myself again. So what do? Of course, us men, we still got the same body we did when we were 20, right? So I'm going to go run that hill that way. And on the way down, I had rolled my ankle and I felt it, but I was just like, I'm good here. But I also knew, because we're athletes, and that if I stop and come to a walk, this thing's gonna really start to inflame. And I still got about 3/4 of a mile, some up and downs that I go through. So I said, I'll change my pace, because it was downhill. So I was doing a sprint. I said, I'm gonna bring it to a jog and I'll keep consistent. And so I did, but in the back of my mind, wondering at some point it's going to be too much and it's going to be unbearable. And the whole time I'm waiting for that, and it never comes. I get to the truck, and it never comes. Now, granted, once I'm driving home, I'm like, yeah, here it is. It's starting to hurt. And I was so depressed because I was like, I've been doing so good, and I know this kind of injury, this is going to keep me from running for about 2 to 3 weeks. Like, I know. And in that time, if I can't work out, I'm going to gain some weight. Like, I was super bummed out. The only two things that I had that I was doing at that time was my cold plunges and the mushrooms. So I said, let me up my take on my mushrooms and let me go do a cold plunge. 2.5 days, less than 3 days, you wouldn't even have guessed that I had hurt my ankle. And I was just like, holy smokes. Like, wow. Something that I've had this issue probably the last 15 years. It only rears its head about it, twice a year. But when it comes, it's like, damn it, it's my sciatic nerve, and I'll do a certain, workout in the gym where I'm like, dang it. And you feel it right there in that lower right, buttocks area. And I'm like, dang, because that's going to keep me out of the gym for a few days. Again, I noticed it. I was like, oh, there it is. And now this thing, I don't wish on eating. I wouldn't wish it on my enemy. If you've never dealt with the sciatic nerve pain, it is crippling. It's very hard, very painful. Up my intake on my mushrooms, did a few extra plunges. Same thing, less than a couple days, gone. And I share my experiences with people to realize, like, this stuff works. It's so important for people to understand that it has this kind of effect on the body. The other thing I wanted to mention, and I wanted to get your guys' take on this, is when you, if it's, let's say it's somebody that's on a medication regimen, and I know you said earlier, Kurt, when you're talking about, hey, this isn't going to affect your medicines, or this, it's because it's natural. For somebody that has that concern, where would you send them to find that information so that they know, all right, I know Kurt's saying it, I know Alpha's saying it, but is there anywhere I can look just to make sure, so I can appease my doctor that's giving me these pharmaceutical things that I totally think nobody should want that stuff anymore in their life? Where can people find information to learn about, interactions and stuff like that with the mushrooms?
Yeah, like Kurt had mentioned, there are hundreds of published studies that you can find online. Many of them have actually been published in the National Library of Medicine, coincidentally, and that show that it doesn't interact with any medications or treatments, can't get addicted, can't overdose, there aren't any side effects. So it's no different from eating a mushroom on a salad. It's the same thing. So if you can eat mushrooms and you're not having any problems just eating regular mushrooms, then you won't have any problems with this. Now, the only time that we ever find a reaction to it is if someone's maybe allergic to mushrooms. Whatever type of response that they have when they consume mushrooms is usually what they'll experience. But it's interesting because studies have found that with the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, the immune system helps with allergies. And so we even have some people that have mild reactions, allergic reactions, like maybe they'll get hives or something very mild, that will start taking the Inforce a little bit at a time and kind of like getting their body used to it. And then they can do the regular 1 capsule for every 50 pounds after just a few weeks of acclimating their body to it, and they don't have any reaction at all. So it really just depends.
That's fascinating.
And definitely, we're not advocating if you are allergic to mushrooms to take it.
No, yeah.
It definitely, you would want to test and just see how you respond to it if you are allergic. If you're not allergic, it's no problem whatsoever. Yeah.
So, and, Kristen, you had mentioned, people's bodies react different ways. And now that it's been a little over a year and I have a large amount of my audience that is taking this for the mushroom family, you'll see them in the chat. Saying, yes, I take this stuff. It's great. One of the things that I noticed that was interesting, and all but one person, because it was, they got, they panicked a little bit and said, no, I don't want to push it. But there were some people that, started taking it and they were just like, oh, didn't really notice anything. And then, a week into it, oh man, I see it. 2 weeks into it, I see it. That was very positive experience. But there have been some, including friends, that were less like, man, I started taking it, bro, and I need to know if you went through this. And they're just like, part of my language here, folks, but I want to express what they said. I feel like shit. And I'm just like, listen, our bodies are different. Just push through it for a week and see what happens. And like I said, all but one of them did. And every single one of them that pushed through it, to this day, they're still taking it. They absolutely love it. Is there why is that? Because me just guessing, I was like, maybe you're just that jacked up and your body had to get rid of all that stuff. I don't know.
We're bombarded by toxins, and our immune systems are so weakened and compromised. And some people maybe do have to go through a detox, just depending on what's happening inside of their body. And anytime that you go through any type of detox, you'll notice it almost sometimes can feel like flu-like symptoms, because your body's purging and trying to get all that bad stuff out, the chemicals and just all of the bad stuff. It's trying to get it out of the body, and it tries to do it in the fastest way possible. And so it just depends on what their own immune system feels is the best course of action. And it sounds crazy, but like your immune system's your best doctor. Like it's your best medicine. It knows exactly what's wrong in the body. It knows exactly what to do to fix it, but it's just so weak and compromised. But it is intelligent. Like it makes decisions and it prioritizes functions and it prioritizes what needs to happen in the body. And so maybe the immune system for them was just like, oh, first and foremost, we need to just get all this junk out, and it starts detoxing them. And that's maybe why they're experiencing those things. Like on the other side of it, once it's over, you feel amazing, like 10 times better than you did before.
Well, one of them, he's an athlete. Like this guy's in good shape. Mm-hmm. And, he was just taking it more because like he's just like, dude, you always seem happy about these damn things. And I was curious. So he did it out of curiosity because he's a healthy guy, no like things like that. And even him. So this just goes to tell us that you can't always judge a book by the way it looks on the outside, because like you said, you don't know how many toxins are in there. And so much of our food has this stuff in it. I mean, you look at, Bill Gates and some of these other people that, we're seeing what are on the labels of the fruits and vegetables. You're seeing people go to the organic section and they go home to wash off their food, and they'll use a brush into like a dish, and then they'll let it evaporate. And there's this powdery stuff that's in there. And it's just like, well, we know that's not part of food. So what the heck is it? Yeah. Because it wasn't on the peel or on the label of the peel. So it's just, people have to, granted, we have a great administration that's in place now, and you do have RFK Jr. that are trying to rectify this, but, we're not going to, undo, all the things that these companies have done for the last couple of decades in a 4-year window. I mean, I would love for that to happen, but realistically and logically, I don't think that's feasible because this stuff takes time. So let me ask you guys this, for people, and this hits close to home for me because I'm a veteran. We have a lot of vets, and I understand this expands far past the vet community, but just with vets, I know they deal with a lot of PTSD. They deal with a lot of anxiety, and the word anxiety, especially on social media, I just hear it all the time. People, I deal with anxiety. My kid has anxiety. I have anxiety. what would you recommend or suggest, based off of the, stories and people, out of the bottles that are offered, if somebody's dealing with like an anxiety issue or stress or PTSD, which one of these mushrooms would probably best be fit for them?
Well, the Coriolis versicolor, we call it the core mushroom. Every person, every pet, every day should be taking this mushroom. And there are studies that show the link between the immune system and your cognitive experiences. So there are lots of studies that actually show the Coriolis versicolor mushroom and how it does help with things like depression and anxiety and those types of things. But we do have a complementary mushroom that we recommend that works together with the Coriolis versicolor mushroom in a synergy. And it's called the Enforce Clarity. It's the blue bottle. And this is the lion's mane mushroom. And again, you don't have to take our word for it. There's so many studies done on the lion's mane mushroom, how it helps with nerve and brain support. So we're finding neuropathy, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, PTSD, anxiety, seizures, just a lot of these different issues that are linked to the brain and cognitive function or impairment. The lion's mane mushroom helps to remap the brain. And then you combine that with the Coriolis versicolor mushroom, which helps the body to return to its natural DNA blueprint through the immune system. We've seen so many wonderful things happen with the combination of these two. And with this one, you only take like one tablet for every 50 pounds. That's all you need. And then I recommend probably if you're dealing with something severe, doubling or tripling this, the one capsule for every 50 pounds.
Absolutely. And with the blue bottle, which is one of my favorites, for those that are wondering, that is when I noticed the most significant decrease in weight for me. Mm-hmm. And we had talked about this quite a few shows ago, where I told people during the show, I said, hey, I'm losing weight, which I'm very happy about. And it was me taking the blue bottle. You want to kind of recap why I saw that positive, I hate to call it a side effect, but that positive result, taking something, that does help with PTSD and anxiety and these other issues?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the lion's mane mushroom, because it's remapping the brain, it also changes the way that we feel about food. So like my mom lost 70 pounds, our really good friend lost 75 pounds, and that was not their original intention. They were just taking it for the cognitive support, for the nerve and brain support. And the same thing, just like month one, like, oh, I lost this. And then month two, oh, I lost more. And it just kept going and going and going until they got to a healthy weight. So there are studies on the lion's mane mushroom and how it does help to maintain a healthy weight.
Yeah. And just so people know, I also didn't take it for weight loss. I didn't know. So just to recap the story so people know, with the show that I do, being a father of not just adult kids, but some really two little ones, it's an exhausting life. I'm up early, I'm up, I'm awake late. Sorry about that. So my sleep window is not always been the best, which is something that we do need. Sleep is super important to being healthy. But it's just one of those things, circumstances are circumstances. So I actually ended up taking the blue bottle, as Kristen was saying, to help with my focus, to make sure that I'm reading my notes, that I'm studying my research. And it was one of these things that I also noticed that I wasn't having these cravings for these other things. And so I had asked, Kristen, I go, hey, have you guys heard anything about people? And that's when she explained to me what she explained to you guys. Last thing that I want to bring up and open the floor to you guys before we wrap this up. Is there anything I haven't asked you guys about these things that you think it's important for the audience to hear, or maybe, frequently asked questions that you guys get that you can get ahead of for someone that's hearing this show for the first time?
Well, this particular mushroom here, I just want to make sure everyone understands the green bottle is the mushroom that, we have the proprietary way that we extract it. Doesn't interact with medications, anything like that. Some of the other mushrooms that are out there have blood thinning properties to them. So, make sure that if you're on any blood thinners, you look into that. That would be the only thing that I would also add. And it doesn't, you have to take quite a bit for that to happen. But it's important that people know that lion's mane and maitake and shiitake and those different types of mushrooms do have that property in it. Nothing to be concerned with. It just, if you're already on a blood thinner, then maybe you look at that. The last thing, for the veterans, Alpha, we have a very close friend that started taking this. He's a well-known individual, And he fought in Vietnam, and he called us a couple of months after being on this, and he said, Kurt, I would have to wake up. I wear a t-shirt to bed. I sleep on a towel. And he goes, I wake up every night just soaking wet. And he goes, it's been over a month and I haven't done that. And I've been dealing with this for years. And he goes, I'm just blown away. And then he called a couple months later, and he was in full tears. And he wrote a book called Marines Don't Cry. And he called me crying, and he goes, you know, I know that I'm crying. I wrote that book, but he goes, Kurt, I'm free. And I said, you're free? And he goes, yeah, I'm free. I'm off of all my medications. Not only that, this individual, almost 80 years old, he said, I'm walking again like I'm 65 since I've been on this product. It's been amazing. I feel so much younger, so more energetic. So, you know, it's a great thing, maybe something, you know, to consider for the veterans that might be dealing with that, to see if it might help them as well in the way that it's helped other people. And that is, you know, he was doing both these two right here. So
That is wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. If that man does shows, I do a veteran show. If he feels like doing something, you know, feel free to connect us. I'd love for him to.
Yeah, absolutely. He'll be happy to. He's got a incredible story and what he's done throughout his lifetime.
Yeah.
He's walked every continent on this planet. So yeah, pretty amazing.
All right. So with that, then, folks, I'm going to bring these human products up onto the screen so people can see them. And if you just give us a recap, you kind of covered this one right now, Kurt. This is the Enforce. This is the green one. And for those, you know, with the kids to put in their applesauce, things like this is the one that comes in the capsule.
Yeah.
And then you have the Enforce first color with the resheet. You guys kind of want to tell us, you know, what's the added benefit here?
Yeah. And the green one is also good if you have a pet, maybe with a special diet. You can just open those capsules and mix it in with their food. Now, the yellow one is the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. So it's the same amount as what's in the green bottle, but it's upgraded. It also has a little bit of the reishi mushroom added to it as well. And the reishi mushroom is an alkalinizing mushroom. It helps regulate blood sugar levels, blood pressure levels, cholesterol management, those types of things. Again, you can look up online all of the benefits of the reishi mushroom and all that it can do for the body. And then we also have, I don't know, the next one is the red one, which is the Restore. Now, this is a completely different type of mushroom called the maitake mushroom. Very helpful for liver and pancreas support. Because the body has such a toxic overload today, we run into a lot of people dealing with liver issues. It's unfortunate. So this is a great addition to the green bottle if you're dealing with anything like that. Then, of course, the blue bottle, the Clarity, is the lion's mane mushroom for nerve and brain support, also for maintaining a healthy weight. And then the orange bottle is a new one. It's called Enforce Shield. This is the shiitake mushroom. This is a great mushroom for cardiovascular support. It's a good source of natural vitamin D, a lot of antioxidants in it. And it also promotes antiviral properties, which that's very important in today's world where we're trying to be scared all the time by, well, this virus and that virus, and a monkey has this one and a bird has that one, and it's going to go to humans, you know, all the whatever they decide, whatever story's coming out. So the shiitake mushroom has antiviral properties to it. So I started including that into my daily. I take 2 of those every day. And the best way that I can describe it is my day just feels brighter. I just feel like everything's brighter. I absolutely love that shiitake mushroom. I take it with the Coriolis versicolor together. So that's a great option. Now, those Enforce gummies are the ones that are great for kids. They're 100% natural. And they think they're just getting candy or a treat. They have no idea that the really good immune supporting supplements are in it.
100%. And then I'll scroll through here so people can see we have coffee.
Yeah. Now, coffee is important because a lot of the coffee in the United States is very loosely regulated. So they're finding mold, mycotoxins, like a lot of so many chemicals. There was even a study that was done that said that coffee was the beverage with the most chemicals that people drink every day. That's just regular coffee. Yeah. So our coffee is 100% natural. We use absolutely no chemicals. Pure. All of our products are pure, natural, and organic. So you don't have to worry about that. But It's SQF level 2 certified, meaning that it's free from contaminants. There are no molds, there are no mycotoxins, there are no pesticides or chemicals, and it has a bunch of other certifications. But that's the main one that I want people to be aware of, because we don't realize that in many other countries, when they send the coffee to them, if they find mold in the coffee, they send it back to the manufacturer. And guess where the manufacturer sends the coffee that comes back to them with mold? To the United States.
What?
To be sold in the United States.
Wow.
It's insane.
Gosh, somebody out there really doesn't like us.
Yeah, right. And not only is it pure, but we also add the immune supporting Coriolis versicolor mushroom to it. So like when we drink this coffee, we don't get the jitters that you normally get. We don't get like that acidic feeling that you feel in your stomach. And it really is just putting two superfoods together, you know, putting coffee with the Coriolis versicolor mushroom. It's just like two really good superfoods that have a lot of beneficial properties for the body.
And then of course we have the cookies.
Mm-hmm. And
Right.
we had to make a snack. We had to make a 4-pack because people were like, I can't just eat one. They're really good.
Absolutely.
We had some mineral rich sea salt to them. So you also get those minerals into your body. They're so yummy.
So there you guys have it. And as you guys saw, the price is extremely affordable. Listen, they could be triple the price. And once people experience the benefit, you would pay that, because that's just how successful your body's going to feel. And when you said the word, you know, you feel bright and clean and happy.
Mm-hmm.
The people that are taking it are like, yeah, I know what she means. You know, and when you guys, for those of you that don't, I'm telling you, trust me, I've put my name behind Kurt and Kristen and Pet Club because I take this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, family members take this. My friends take this. You know, my name and reputation means something to me. And that's why I stand behind this product. There's a billion infomercials that you're going to see on the internet, on TV, here on radio and all that. And this stuff, when you take, you're going to be like, well, I'll be damned. This really does say what everybody was describing. And then I would say with that, you guys, if you are someone that's taking this stuff, let people know in the chat so they could see that, yeah, here's another person. And when people see how many taking it, you know, sometimes people need a little bit of encouragement because we're all kind of traumatized from the world lying to us, and we have to build that trust back. Kurt, Kristen, it's been absolutely awesome. Again, thank you for joining me. The next time you come, this face will probably be even a little bit more thinner, and I will be absolutely happy with that. You guys, God bless, Semper Fi. Again, support the people that support this show, which includes these folks over here, by going down in the description and going and taking care of this stuff and buying it for you and your family. So with that, see you guys tomorrow night. God bless and Semper.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. You know, I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets.
I'm interrupting this commercial to do something I've never done before. Get 2 MyPillows absolutely free on orders of $100 or more. I can't do this forever, so get on board with this great sale today. Our best-selling 6-piece bath towel sets or kitchen towel sets, just $29.98. Our famous standard MyPillows only $14.98. Queens $18.98. King size only $1 more. Body pillows $29.98. Multi-use MyPillow 2.0s with pillowcase $9.98. Save $40 on our Spring Percale and Giza Dream bed sheet sets. Any size, any color. So go to MyPillow.com or call that number on your screen. Use your promo code to save up to 80% on all MyPillow products. And when you spend $100 or more, get 2 standard MyPillows absolutely free.